was one player that I didn't expect to be suspended by the NFL for substance abuse policy, I think Patrick Peterson would at least be on that list, if not near the top of the list. What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm here just to discuss Patrick Peterson getting suspended 6 games for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. So he's going to be out 6 games at the start of the 2019 season. Now, this doesn't mean he won't be able to participate in training camp, because he will be able to participate in training camp. He will be able to participate in all of the preseason action, including all of the preseason games. So he's really not missing any of the prep for the 2019 season, but he's missing a large chunk of the season. And without Patrick Peterson, I'm going to kind of evaluate here where I see the Cardinals in terms of a defense, secondary, and as a team. Already, I think a lot of people were expecting that the Cardinals would take a stride forward, maybe even 2 strides forward, but probably weren't going to be a team to compete for the playoffs or the Super Bowl or anything of that nature. But the Cardinals, I was one of the people that was saying, you know, they're an interesting team. They're very intriguing going into 2019, but without their best defensive player, arguably Chandler Jones is there as well, it's going to be rough, especially in the secondary that's had a lot of new pieces added to the mix. And now Patrick Peterson, without his leadership, without his kind of guiding hand to really go over the scheme, go over the system, and all that sort of stuff that he brings to this team, and let alone his play, you know, that's just going to hurt the Cardinals in every facet, from the meetings to the playing field during the regular season. So Patrick Peterson is out. One of the best corners in the game. He is out for the Cardinals for the first 6 games. He is going to miss the games against the Lions, the games against Baltimore, the Panthers, the Seahawks, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, in looking at this schedule, I do feel like without him, just if I had to make a rough estimation of how the Cardinals will do, obviously we have no idea how they're going to do, more so than other teams, because Kyler Murray's a new quarterback, Cliff Kingsbury's a new coach. So really, we have no idea how this team is going to look. Defensively, I actually thought the Cardinals were super underrated heading into this season, and I still feel that way, but without a star corner who can take away an opposing team's #1 receiver, it really hurts your team. And I said this a little bit while back on one of the podcasts we had. I really feel like a #1 corner in this league today is even more important than a #1 pass rusher. Like, as a Patriots fan, I've seen it myself. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, Darrelle Revis, or the guys that they've had over the past couple of years here, Aqib Talib even when he was here, I mean, that type of player can change a defense. And as a Cardinals fan, if you're watching this, I mean, you've seen how Patrick Peterson, when he's at his peak of play and when they've had very good defenses in the past, like 2015, for example, he's been able to change the way that a defense plays because he's able to take away one side of the field. And now teams aren't going to have to worry about that. They're not going to have to worry about the defense dictating matchups for an offense. Now an offense can dictate matchups to a defense because Patrick Peterson isn't taking away your best option or your best receiver, or at least giving him a tough competition. So you might not want to throw to a Julio. You might not want to throw to Tyler Lockett. I'm looking at their schedule, you know, AJ Green. You're not going to want to throw to that guy. Instead, you kind of now can take the matchup and pick and choose your poison. So now for the Cardinals, you look at their secondary, and Robert Alford is there, who they signed, who had a rough season for the Atlanta Falcons last year. But I really feel like he was an upgrade to their slot position. I still feel like he could play slot for them. Possibly could play outside now. He did play outside for Atlanta. So now it looks like the starting corners are going to be Byron Murphy, who they drafted in the 2nd round, and Robert Alford. That's probably going to be their 2 outside corners. Maybe one of them goes on the slot, depending on the matchup, depending against which team they play. They also have David Amerson, who I'm not a fan of and never have been a fan of. I don't think he's a very good player. Tremaine Brock is another one that they have. Josh Shaw. They don't have a lot of depth here. I do think that they're going to have to, and they have Brandon Williams. I think they're going to have to add another corner to the mix here. Probably a veteran presence if they can. Maybe they're going to have to score with somebody like an undrafted free agent that comes through, or a late pick that they possibly got. But Byron Murphy, I don't think, he was one of my favorite corners in the draft. A lot of other people do think he was arguably the best corner in the draft. Just personally, I wasn't a huge fan of him. I do think that without Patrick Peterson, you're going to have to take into account that the Cardinals will probably play a lot more zone coverage without Patrick Peterson, because Patrick Peterson excels in man-to-man coverage. And with Byron Murphy and Robert Alford on the outside, I think it's more likely that you see a lot more zone. So taking that into account with Vance Joseph, I think is interesting to see how he'll work without Patrick Peterson. Vance Joseph is also more of a secondary coach than anything else, so hopefully his strength can come through in this department for Patrick Peterson not being there. So that's something to take into account. Also, they did upgrade the front seven in the offseason, so Chandler Jones is going to have to play better. This is because everybody on this defense is going to have to step up, whether that's Hassan Reddick, Jordan Hicks, Terrell Suggs, Chandler Jones. All these guys are going to have to step up and play better without Patrick Peterson. And, of course, their safeties, I think, are going to be huge in coverage, because now you're going to probably ask Budda Baker to do a little bit more, because now you're moving Robert Alford or potentially Byron Murphy off of a slot receiver or off of a tight end. And now you're going to ask Budda Baker to do that, or DJ Swearinger to do that. So it puts more stress on your secondary and your defense and your team in general. I still think the Cardinals have promise. I don't think they're anywhere near a playoff team, but they're still an interesting team. But without Patrick Peterson, it definitely hurts them. That's why I don't think the Cardinals are going to end up hitting their peak defensively till about week 10, week 12, where Vance Joseph can really sit down with his whole defense. Hopefully everybody's healthy and they can contribute. So overall, this is just not a good look for the Cardinals, not a good look for Peterson. Now, overall, Peterson, again, he misses those 6 games. He can participate all in the preseason. He can participate. He's a 3-time All-Pro. I think he's made the Pro Bowl like every year of his career, if I'm not mistaken. He might have missed one. But looking at him, he started every game of his career so far. He's never missed a single game. So this is just going to hurt him from that standpoint of the longevity of his career. Yeah, he's made the Pro Bowl every year of his career. Now looking at it, he's been a consistent force. He's been one of the top 10 corners in the game, if not top 5 corners in the game since being drafted. I would probably put him somewhere in the top 5 currently. He's probably lost a little bit of a step since his, prime days of 2015, that sort of area where I thought he was really, really good. But he's still excellent. He's still a great man-to-man guy. He's still a shutdown corner. And without him, the Cardinals are missing arguably their best defensive player and a leader on their team and a face of their franchise that I don't think the fans are really going to look down upon him. But as I had last year with Julian Edelman, you do sort of question it in your mind. Like, has this guy always been on something? Has he just taken it now? Is he taking it because of injuries? Is he taking it because of pain? What is it? Why did he take this? Was this a slip up? Was this on purpose? So you're kind of questioning the character of a leader, of a player that you've admired. And to me, that hurt me a little with Edelman for a bit. And then, you kind of get over it and you get excited for this guy to get back on the field. Cardinals fans, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the suspension. Fans of other teams, let me know how you feel about the outlook of the Cardinals without Patrick Peterson. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View. I'm very intrigued to see how the Cardinals do without one of their best players for the past 10 years. We'll see you next video. Peace.